Hey, welcome to our show. This is the show formerly called Between Us Girls. It is now going to be called affectionately Course Correction. Between Us Girls will remain the parent or the network of this show. So, thank you to everyone who is now listening to Course Correction. So, the basis for this show is healing and generational wealth and break curses that have been in place for generations. So, today's guests are two mothers, authors, and community activists, Miss Rachel Dolezal and Aset Rising, aka Dub. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Hey,
How are you guys doing today? Very well?
all is well.
Yeah, all was well with me as well. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming, and thank you for bringing that sage.
It smells amazing,
Yes,
right?
it does. It smells so good.
Yeah.
I already feel like I'm in a more peaceful.
Yeah, it changes your whole mood, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I feel very good. Okay, so I really appreciate you guys joining me. I'm actually honored to have you here. And today we're going to talk about self-care, self-love, self-preservation, and how to do those things and really what they mean to us individually.
All right.
And I'll just start by saying that I was never really taught to care for myself or put myself first. And I'm not saying that your parents necessarily have to teach you that, but I think it's awesome for people to learn those things at a young age. So, Aset, I'll ask you first. What did you experience like growing up? Were you taught self-care, or what was your experience with it?
No, I wasn't taught it at all. Actually, it was the opposite thereof. I was taught to suck it up, to get over things quickly. I wasn't allowed to really be an emotional child. And when things happened, we kind of just swept it under the rug. And I was in a home that was very shrouded in secrecy, I guess is the best word. You know, the old age, what goes on in this house stays in this house, right? So, and I also didn't get an opportunity to see any of the women around me performing self-care. They were martyrs of the family. They took care of everybody and everything, and they put themselves last.
Yeah.
So I quite naturally did the same until I hit a road. I mean, a wall, a roadblock, and was like, whoa, something has to change. But yeah, it was self-taught.
Okay.
Definitely.
Rachel?
Same for me. Definitely not something I was raised with, and something that I had to figure out for myself. I mean, I was raised in a very suppressive, repressive, oppressive family, and was taught that emotions were wrong, that if you're having fun, you're sinning. Basically, whether it was anger or joy or sadness, it doesn't matter what the emotion was. It was just you weren't supposed to have one.
Yeah.
So and then as far as even mental or physical self-care, it didn't matter what your own thoughts were, because you just had to read the Bible and basically follow that. So it was just kind of regurgitation was more important than actual insight. And then physical self-care wasn't taught, because it was just like, your body is to be used for working and bearing children, and that's about it.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I can relate to that for real. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mom is still such a giver. And every day I have to tell her, no, I'm okay. Put yourself before us today.
Yeah.
And I really don't want that for my kids. And I'm trying to kind of change that, of course. And it's taken me some time because, well, it's something that I'm having to learn myself, through reading or watching YouTube or just looking at my friends and seeing them put themselves first. But I do find that when I try to meditate, which I can't do it for very long.
Okay.
But when I try to meditate, I do feel so much better.
Okay.
A little clearer, and I'm able to focus on myself. Do you guys meditate at all?
I do. I wake up every morning and I meditate at 5:30. Right now, I'm focusing on a gratitude guided meditation. Okay. So it's focused on gratitude only, just being in the moment and saying thank you and being grateful for where I am right there in the moment.
Okay.
And like you said, meditation was something that I had to learn.
Yeah.
Right. It was something that I had to practice regularly. So it started with 1 minute,
Yeah.
and you start gradually getting into it. And now, I can go to a whole other place now in
Wow.
meditation, but it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
Is my space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also practice meditation, but in shorter amounts, just because just logistically I'm not alone or able to meditate for very long.
Yeah.
So I kind of found that even 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm also doing I use the app called Calm.
Calm. I love
And
Rachel. Oh my goodness.
yeah, I like the guided meditations as well, just because
Yeah.
some days I feel like, and especially for beginners or people who have a lot of chaos or just busyness in their life, it's kind of like a helping hand, for someone to articulate. And I'm currently doing kind of the self-awareness because just like a physical, almost to support my physical health, where there's like a guided process of feeling basically from your head to your toe, what's going on with your eyes and with your nose, with just your whole physical being, and kind of grounding you in that to start the day.
Yeah, I really like that app, especially because you can put it on a timer.
Okay.
And it'll it'll ping you and it'll remind you.
Right.
And just for 1 minute, you stop and you breathe, and then when you come out of it, you're like, oh, okay, I was tripping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. Yeah.
Well, I know which app I'm downloading as soon as we finish this episode.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's almost counterintuitive that there's an app or apps,
Right?
multiple ones for meditation.
There's an app for everything.
Yeah. I mean, but the day and age that we live in, the times, everything on a phone or a computer. So I think, that's amazing.
Right.
And shoot, I'm going to share it with my son because he's anxious. I'm anxious. My daughter's anxious. Everybody has anxiety.
Yeah.
And, Aset and I were talking about this earlier. It's kind of like it manifests differently in each person. So I might look at him and be like, oh, why did you do that? But then I'm like, well, I just did something also that was anxiety driven, So I definitely want to teach them how to meditate. I feel like we can all learn really how to get lifted together, as I think.
Or actually, not lifted, but grounded.
Grounded,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
In children, they actually, we say, do what I say, but really children do what you do. They watch you, right? And so as they watch you meditating and coming out of it in a calmer state, even if it doesn't last forever, right? It'll spark something in them that even if they don't do it regularly right away, it will become a coping mechanism for them as well.
Right.
So, I mean, it's an important thing to show to your children.
Yeah, and even, as someone who has multiple ages of kids, even after they move out of the house and are in college, and sometimes they exhibit having learned things, like they'll never do this in front of you, but later you notice, oh, they did see me do that. They did actually learn how to XYZ. So even if you don't visibly see, oh, my kid is kind of copying or patterning their behavior after mine in the home, like even after they turn 18, there's still things that they'll carry with them that they might fall back on, when they need to.
Right. And that's my concern, is because I know I've probably taught them some of the things that are not what I want them to do, So I'm trying now to redirect, and I mean for myself too, because all you have is time,
Right.
He says if you have to, just because I'm 35 now, I have to give up and say, oh, well, I'm just stuck up. You know what I mean? It's important that I show them, that I can change and I can be a more enlightened, positive calmer individual, because the anxiety that has plagued me my whole life has always kept me at this heightened level of, oh my God, and it's just not so.
Yeah. And let me just speak on anxiety and living with it for a long period of time from my personal experience. I lived in a very high stress environment for a few years. And so I was constantly dealing with anxiety, having panic attacks and all of these things. And as I was going through my medical ordeal, what I found out was that as a result of being anxious so much, I actually fried my adrenal gland.
Yeah.
So I had adrenal fatigue syndrome, and it manifests itself in different ways. But one of the main things that it does is it keeps you in a heightened fight or flight moment all the time. You know, you're supposed to be asleep, but you're
tensed up.
Right. And so,
like that sleep paralysis.
When we finally figured out what was wrong with me, it was causing me to pass out. It was causing me to have brain fog. It was causing me to do all kinds of things. And I'm saying, why am I falling apart here? You know? And what it was untreated anxiety that I was just pushing through, you know, push through. And when we figured it out and worked it out, and then I started seeing it in my oldest daughter, I pulled her like, hey, wait, we're not going to fry your adrenal gland. We're going to work this out before it gets to that point, because there are medical things attached to anxiety.
And I think that,
definitely.
Exactly. That's one of the things that, I mean, you hear people talk about anxiety, they're like, oh, it's all in your head. No, it can become a physical ailment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your body, like you said, will really fall apart because it's stress.
Absolutely. And your body, adjusts, because that's what humans, that's the wonderful and beautiful thing about a human, is that we are able to adjust. But after a point, it begins to shut itself down.
Right.
So it's important that we address anxiety and we take the stigma away from the idea that we have anxiety, especially in the culture where we live in. Now, where everything is an Instagram or a Facebook post, and we're always worried about appearance, and you know, it's important that we remember that we have to take care of ourselves, because anxiety can, in fact, kill you.
It really can.
Yeah.
Well, and it can be, in my case, you know, it really was linked to depression. So, you know, like they can run hand in hand a lot, and I mean, it can cause you, drive you to the point of like taking your own life. I mean, like at the ultimate end of that road. So, you know, it's but one thing that I did want to just comment on, just to back up just briefly about the kids issue and parenting. You know, like I also like to believe that whatever is kind of water under the bridge, like I try not to worry about that, like have anxiety over, oh, you know, all these bad habit patterns that are the ways that I didn't exercise self-care. My kids are just going to continue that, because I think at the end of the day, like the good things that we do teach them and the good coping strategies, they'll, you know, we kind of have to have a little faith that they will kind of sort through those things and find what works for them. And just like I know I had to discard nearly everything, like wipe and reload, from my childhood. So, you know, like our kids, they'll figure it out. And I don't think that they're necessarily destined to repeat all of the worst of what they saw or whatever.
I agree.
I think,
we're just talking about that reprogramming and how important it is to identify the parts of our childhood that did cause us certain angst, and to reprogram ourselves, and to share that with. And I think that's the reason why you have this podcast, is to share with people that it is okay to reprogram.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, oops, okay, let's try again. You know? There's nothing wrong. And I think for so long, I mean, I felt a lot of shame associated with feeling like I needed to fix myself or work on myself or look at myself. You know what I mean? Because that's scary. To have to say, okay, well, I am this person that, you know, maybe you don't. Who is this?
And another thing about reprogramming or coming back to the realization that there may be something about yourself that you have to change is that you have to actually be very, very honest with yourself when deciding what it is. You know, you don't want I don't know about you, Rachel, but for me, I've had so many people tell me who I was and what was wrong with me and how I shouldn't be this way and how I made this mistake or that mistake. And to just remove those labels from myself that were placed on me from other people and redefine myself for who I really am and not the other stuff, you know. And that was important to calming down that anxiety that was always constantly there. And I love the fact that you brought up the fact that anxiety often is accompanied by depression, because oftentimes people don't correlate the two, right? They want to separate them as if they exist on different sides of the room, but they don't.
They're brother and sister.
They're brother and sister. Yeah,
they really are. We both said that at the same time, but it's true.
Yeah.
Did you guys check out that article that I sent you about school?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I thought it was pretty great that they, were really being innovative and creative, in the strategies instead of just kind of ratcheting up to the most extreme measures of discipline. They were kind of thinking, okay, let's find what they were using, like aromatherapy and projected images and different things in that room to kind of be calming. I mean, I had a few practical just questions in the back of my mind, like, how many kids could be in that space at a time and have it be calming, or, I mean, how many rooms do you have to have, or are there ways to engage groups or whatever? But I'm sure that, like just any effort toward treating a child or an individual as a whole person, and really acknowledging
it's okay.
their like mental, emotional, and physical, not just in the case of school, mental, like just knowledge, but let's also acknowledge that their emotions and physical body engaged with that person too. So
I think that's what we never get at school, is that, hey, there's a whole other thing going on besides just this body, and you need it. It's important.
Right.
They work together. Like, if they work together well, like, you won't.
Right. And I think it's a great technique. I like the fact that they added aromatherapy. That I sneak in on my kids on a regular basis when they're getting too rowdy. I'll put lavender in the diffuser in a second and calm this down a little bit, or prepare for bed. And I think that aromatherapy and meditation for children, especially young children who are exhibiting behavioral problems. Because a part of the behavioral problem is they are afraid of the punishment that is going to come for acting out. And so allowing them to meditate, that aromatherapy, to calm themselves, I thought was great. And it was something that got my son through, a really rough period.
And did you see in the article, there was a boy who said that he chose to go to the calm room every day, or however he went, as opposed to what he used to do, which was getting into fights, things like that. And I thought it was really cute, actually, that he took upon himself to change and redirect that, because you can, every time you change the reaction to the synapse, what I'm saying, whatever makes you bristle up or get anxious, every time you change that, that's more space that you put between the old reaction and what you can add in there. It's really cool, because I mean, that's just not something that happens in school.
And I think that was a background. I wonder how long the children are in the room. That would be great to see, to know. Because
it kind of sounded like he was going there instead of going to recess, like choosing to go there. And it also sounded kind of like he was noticing that other kids were one of the catalysts or sources of his issues, because you can kind of say, oh, I'm going to go to school today and I'm going to not get into a fight. But then if you get around kids and they're picking on you, or, sometimes other people can kind of pull us out of our our zone of
Yeah.
determination to do what's right. And so,
Right.
he was kind of self-isolating a little bit in order to be successful. And I think that's that's self-awareness. I mean, sometimes we have to pull away from being all in the mob and in the zone of social media or whatever to
Mhm.
just kind of get ourselves clear
Right.
on
And that was a form of self-care for that little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think, I think more kids could benefit, more adults. If there was a calm room at my job,
Oh my.
I would,
Right.
I would be like, you know what? After this meeting, I'm gonna head down there to the calm room and I'm gonna chill out.
There are some places of employment that have been experimenting with like sleep pods or like
Right.
a little nap room or some version of a calm room.
I think what Google was one.
Google, yeah, they have this, the nap.
Mhm.
They also have meditation and yoga sessions,
Right,
that you can attend, but
yeah,
we
everybody's
can't
not
all work for Google.
right. I wish. So let me ask you this, Rachel. I know you and I have talked about, but have you developed any self-care routines?
I have, and actually, I also have just kind of reflected a little bit more on what self-care is. And initially, I really kind of felt like self-care was a class thing, like a privilege thing, almost like self-indulgence,
Okay.
not really something that you had to do for your health. But kind of looking back on, like, no, I don't indulge myself a lot. I don't treat myself a lot and things like that. But I do take pretty good care of managing my overall physical, mental, and emotional health,
Yeah.
even when I have to really fight for that. Um, I feel like I keep it at a yellow or green, like on a stoplight. It's like at yellow or green. I keep things away from the red zone, like the danger zone, like emergency.
Right.
But yeah, one of the things that I'm doing right now is I've joined a little group. It's an online on another app, but with
Okay.
friends from Instagram and just doing a like holistic health
Okay.
challenge. Like we did a 30-day, and then I'm gonna just continue with it because it really has been helpful with like some lymph yoga and the meditation app, and then just so many steps a day. And there's some really simple things of just making better exercise and food choices, but I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm taking some steps, and I think that every choice is significant. Every food choice, every decision to get your body moving and or still your mind down or whatever you need at that moment, I think it all adds up. So
Yeah, and I'm proud of you for doing that for yourself.
thank you.
You're welcome. So Deb, what you got? I know you have your AM meditation time.
Yeah, I do that. I journal
Okay.
a couple of days a week. I don't do it as I do prompted journals so that I'm not just
Trying to write.
free writing. Yeah, just let's stay focused on
So you
something.
can have like a purpose and intention.
A purpose and
behind
an intention. Of course, I'm into crystals
it. Yeah.
and oils and all of those things. So I do budgeted myself an allotted amount of money that I can spend on whatever I want, sage, crystals, whatever, oils, whatever I want. I also am more aware of the foods that I put into my body, right? Trying to get off of sugar.
Yeah. The struggle.
The
So
struggle.
Oh my God.
Oh man. And
So
just
hard.
taking my water, increasing my water intake and making sure that I do shower meditations and every morning on my way to work. I used to listen to music. Now I listen to, it's another app. It's called Pep Talk.
Okay, let me write that
It's
down.
called Pep Talk, and it is just people from all over the world that have inspirational speeches, and that's pretty much what I start my day off with.
So like a TED Talk, but on the app.
A TED Talk, but on an app, and
That's
you have all Les Brown, pastor, I don't know his name right now. I do. One of them. It's a lot of people, but those are some people. Diddy was on there. Will Smith. It's a lot of people on there. There's just, hey, you can do this. You can do this, and I listen to that all the way to work. Probably into my first 1 or 2 hours. In the day, and the reason why I do that is because I want to set myself up as much as I can, so that as the day comes, no, it's no problem. As the day comes, I want to be sure to do that. And then also, I have stepped back with trying to be everything to everyone. And learning the word no. My best friend tells me all the time, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to give a reason. You don't have to explain yourself. Just no. And practicing that has helped me a lot to step back from just being that go-to person for everybody. You gotta make a list. This is another thing that I do, and I tell everyone close to me, is make a list of 5 people that that if you can go to them for anything, they got you. And if anybody else comes to you that's not on that 5, no. That is really. Are you done? I'm sorry. I'm done.
Okay. That's a really good thing. I'll listen to. So what I've been doing is listening to inspiration on YouTube because I didn't know about pep talk. I'll check that one out. But I've been listening to in the morning on the way to work. I listen to, because it usually takes me like an hour and a half. So I'll listen to, Oprah, Alan Watts, people who are talking about meditation and just calm, because ain't no calm room at work. But Oprah, one of the things that she said last week in the clip was she had to learn how to not be that person. How to that she had. How to stop saying yes to everything. And she said the first person that she said no to was Stevie Wonder. So she was like nervous to say no. She was like, damn, is Stevie gonna still be my friend? Because she calls it the disease to please. Always wanting to make sure that people like you or they're comfortable with your decisions and stuff like that. You really have to obliterate that thought. In order to preserve you. So I have a couple tips, and these are for me. Brush your hair.
Okay, that's important.
Take a long bath.
Oh, yes.
Not like a quick, I gotta hurry up and take a bath. No. Like a really nice, like a, what do they call it? They don't call it a self-care bath. What is it called? A
spiritual bath?
Yeah, like maybe a spiritual bath, or just even something and you might not think it's a spiritual bath, but it would be if you put some oil in the water. And,
you can just take a bubble bath. That's
right. Bath salt, just anything that you want to add to make it luxurious, like Rachel said. If you feel like you want to up your class while you're in the tub. This is going to sound crazy, but there's another one, masturbate. That makes you feel good.
Absolutely.
Make sure you exercise, have a drink if you want, write something if you need a prompt. There are prompts out there. Listen to music. That's my number one thing. Put it on my record. And dancing. Just by myself. And make sure you laugh, because really the point is to make yourself feel good. Because, and I always say this is loving on you, even if you have to take yourself out to go eat, or you have to take yourself to a movie, things like that. People don't like to say date yourself, but that's really the same idea, because when you have a significant other, you make sure that they feel good. So, worry about yourself too. So,
when you don't have a significant other, such as the case with me, long term, it's like, you have to worry about yourself, because nobody else is going to worry about you.
If you don't take care of you, who will take care of you? You are number one steward. And it's funny that you mentioned laugh, because when I was going through chemo and the transplant, one thing that my doctor said was, you need to remove any and everything that doesn't make you laugh. And every day you need to laugh for 2 hours. So every day I watched Coming to America. Every single day. And I would laugh like I had just seen it for the first time every single day. But the feelings that you get when you're laughing, right?
That's vibration.
It's vibration so much. So it raises everything.
I mean, because that's really the only way. And, I'm really deep into studying manifestation and energy and stuff like that. That's the only way for your intentions to really achieve, is if your vibration is high, and not having a calm room at work will definitely take you off of your vibration.
Or home.
Yes.
Mhm.
Talking about work, home.
Yeah, because I mean, there's other people there.
Yeah,
You know, so
right.
we're having to interact
Right.
with them, and then not to mention too, all of us being parents. It's like, how much running around am I gonna have to do every day?
Right. I mean, think about how many nights we're doing something until we pass out at
Right.
night in the bed, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, a calm room would be great in both locations. If we were
Exactly.
just an ideal, but if we're not going to be luxurious like that, we
Right.
a bath, a great
Bath.
time. Yeah, a bath is a great time.
Right. Or 20 minutes listening to your favorite music, burning some sage,
Right.
or sitting on the patio,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
you
patio's
know,
awesome.
doing whatever makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's going to be the basis for this course change, this
Mhm.
course correction is just looking into myself.
Yeah.
And
Right.
kind of healing me, you know, because I feel like
Mhm.
it's going to take time. Of course, it's not like okay, I woke up today, I'm a better person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to have days where they're not good, but I just need to remember that it starts with the self-care, because if I don't feel good, then nothing's going to pop off.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So if you guys could just first let me tell you thank you so much for helping me through this first episode.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
Well,
This,
you're welcome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Is it okay if I share just one short quote that I love from Audre Lorde?
go
She said, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. And I think that, like in the context of women who carry multiple oppressions, or any individual, that whether race or class or disability or gender or sexual orientation or religion or whatever, like that, just that act of self-care is really a revolutionary act in the context of any kind of like social or individual trauma, because you are basically a success, if you just get through the day, let alone if you not just survive but thrive. So I just love her philosophy on it.
I like that.
I like that
A revolutionary act. I like
It
that a
is.
lot. Yeah.
It really is.
Especially for us as women.
Yeah.
I can only speak as a woman, right?
Right.
But breaking out of that mold
Mhm.
and taking care of yourself, that's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
So I applaud you both, for taking such care of yourselves and being revolutionaries and saying, no, I need my moment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it too. You're
I
working
am.
on it, right?
I
You're down
am.
that path. And so once you ring a bell, you can't unring it. And you
Right.
rung the bell.
I rung the bell. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Well, it's all by degrees, so it's not like a yes or no. It's like we're all in the process of
Yeah.
becoming better by degrees. So
Right.
yeah.
I saw a meme. I'm not sure. I think it was Sophia Bush said it was, you're allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important too, to remember that just because you have things you need to work on doesn't make you bad.
That's right.
No.
Right.
Because
Perfectly imperfect is
yeah.
actually the new bag.
Yeah. I mean, what
Um,
is a good or a bad as it pertains to things like this? Like Rachel kind of said, it's just, it's everyone is working. And if you're not working on learning, on being the best version of yourself, then what are you doing?
Right.
Because somebody said the other day was like, well, I don't know how to do X, Y, Z. I'm like, there's always something you can learn.
Always. Yeah.
Always.
The only thing constant in the world is change.
Right.
That is the only thing that is a constant.
That is so true. Can you guys, doesn't matter who goes first, just tell where to find your work and where to follow you if they want to. Rachel. You can go.
All right. So you can find me on social media at Rachel A. Dolezal or Rachel A. Dolezal, sorry. And then on my website at racheldolezal.com. I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and I have a Facebook page and LinkedIn as well. I'm not on Snapchat, but yeah, racheldolezal.com. And then I also have a YouTube channel, but you have to filter for channels. Just type in Rachel Dolezal and then hit the channel filter so that it pulls up my channel, not just all the funk on there about whatever anybody else wants to say.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'll put your link in
they
the
can find me.
comments too.
And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at assetrising.com. No, just at Asset Rising. And our book, Instructions. Wait. Instructions Not Given. Building the Tribe. You can find that book. It's a book about blending families and co-parenting successfully. And you can find that book anywhere books are sold. So it's Instructions Not Given, Building the Tribe by Asset Rising and OB3. And yeah, I look forward to speaking to anyone and everyone about this because I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And then also, don't forget that I spent some time to build a website for her, so you can also find the book.
Buildingthetribe.com. I'm sorry. Yes. My apologies.
No, you're fine. I'm just plugging myself.
Yeah, it was a great.
Okay, so I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you to our listeners for listening. And you can always find us. Okay, so this is just going to be a moment of truth. That website, I'm working on it.
Okay.
All you can find over there is the audio player.
Okay.
So I'm looking at that, and that's going to be www.betweenusgirlspodcast.com. But you can always follow us on Instagram at Between Us Girls Podcast, and you can follow me at MS Creative AF on Instagram as well. Okay?
Yeah.
So
sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.